وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. وأعظم الله لكم ولكن الأجر بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين. اللهم اجعل ما نقوله ونفعله خالصا لوجهك الكريم. Before we dive into the first lesson from the lessons from Ashura, there's a mistake that I made that I need to correct. In the first lecture, I tried to clarify something, and I said that the Quran sometimes is harsh. Do you guys remember? I said he says, "In hum illa yakhrusun," and I said that it means kind of to silence others, right? How we say it in Lebanese. However, yakhrusun in the Quran, in the verse here, means more assumption. It doesn't mean to silence them. All right? So this just needed to be clarified. When the Quran says, "In hum illa yakhrusun," it's not the Lebanese one. All right? It's the Quranic one, which means they're making assumptions. All right? So I just wanted to clarify this, to get it right, to not spread false information. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. As we've mentioned so far, we want to look at Ashura as a school. And we want to take lessons from Ashura. So tonight, is the first class from the school of Ashura, and we're going to take the first lesson related to at-taklif, the duty, the task, whatever you want to call it. We can say that knowing our duty and knowing our taklif is one of the most important points in our life. For us to know, why do we exist? What's my purpose? Why am I living? Why am I here? What is wanted from me? I'm going to stay 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. And then what? We forget why we are living on earth. To be more accurate, if you want to forget something, if you forget something, that means you knew about it in the first place. But most of us actually don't know why they are here. No one told them why you live. And if I was to ask each one of you, and why did you guys go to school? Because sometimes we're too zoomed into the system. We just grew up. We just realized at some point, I'm living, I'm in school, and we just go with the flow. We don't question anything, right? So if I ask you guys, why do you guys go to school? Most of you probably would say, well, we go to school because we gain knowledge. And then what? You want to go to university, college? Good. And then what? You want to get a degree? Okay. And then what? For what reason? Because you want to make money. Okay, beautiful. You make money. And then what? You get married. Mabruk. And then what? You want to start a family. You want to have kids, children. All right, and then what? You want to buy a house? All right, and then what? Now you're 50 years old. What do you want to do after? That's it? All right, you will see your kids get married, etc. Tamam. But then what? You're 60, 70, 80 years old. Wa alaikum salam. And then what? What happens after that? Do you have an answer? Hala, what I mentioned, most of us are going to do, inshallah, regardless. Not only us as Muslims, Christians do that, Jews do that, even atheists do that. So, did Allah create us just for us to live 50, 60, 70 years, eat, drink, buy a house, get married, and that's it? No further purpose? Life doesn't make sense if that's the case. Yani Allah didn't create this world for batil. He created this world for a reason. You were created for a reason, for a purpose. So why do you live? This is what we want to try and find out. Hal, I'm going to help you guys, but like I said, each and everyone needs to reflect and find his own answer, his own purpose. Because we can say that finding your taklif could be the greatest achievement in your life. For you to know, okay, this is why Allah Azza wa Jal created me. I found my taklif. Regardless of what your taklif actually is. If your taklif is to come help in the mosque, perfect, that's your taklif. If your taklif is to be a scholar, then be a scholar. If your taklif is to be a good housewife and a mother, then be a good housewife and a mother. Perfect, you fulfilled your purpose. Now we underestimate the housewives and the mothers. But we do them unjust because Halla, the great personalities we have in the world, the leaders, everything that we have, they were kids at some point and they had mothers who took care of them, who raised them, etc. So if your taklif is to be a good mother and a good housewife, be a good mother and a good housewife. You know, akhir shay, when you die, you tell Allah Azza wa Jal, Wallah, I think this was my taklif. I did my taklif. I fulfilled my purpose. If your taklif is it to clean the bathrooms, go clean the bathrooms. Khair inshallah. You did your taklif. You knew why you existed. You knew why Allah Azza wa Jal created you. Because we can't all be scholars and majalis reciters and latmiyat reciters and whatsoever. I know a lot of people wish they can go to Hawza and study and be religious, but it's not true. We can't. The whole complete society, a perfect society, is the society that is diverse. We need to have all levels, all grades. If you look at a village and you see in that village there's only doctors, it's not good. It's not the optimal case that we want, right? It's good to be a doctor, but we don't need 200 doctors in a village. We need 2 doctors, we need 2 engineers, we need 2 of everything. We need this diversity. So some people think in khalas, the only way I can get close to Allah and be a believer, ma ba'arif shu, is for me to go to Hawza. I have to leave everything and go study Islam. La, it's not true. Belief and iman and faith is not attached to Hawza studies. You can do anything and be close to Allah Azza wa Jal and have faith and have iman and have taqwa and be probably better than some scholars. You go to Hawza for different reasons. You go to Hawza to become a leader. You go to Hawza to lead other people maybe, yes. But you don't go to Hawza to become a believer. You can be a cashier and be the greatest believer. You can be one of the awliya from Allah Azza wa Jal. You don't need to go to Hawza to be that. طيب. What I want to say is that we need this diversity in our society. We need everything. Everything needs to be present. To make this more clear, I usually give the example of an airplane. If we look at an airplane, we find that it only has one motor. It has 8 wheels, 16 wheels, 1 cockpit, 200, 300 chairs, 80 windows, and so on and so forth. And thousands of screws and bolts. hundreds, thousands, whatever you guys want. The plane is only complete with every single detail that it has. Every single part makes the plane complete. If one bolt is missing, the plane is not safe anymore. The plane is not ready to go. It cannot take off. It's useless. We don't need this plane. It could be the most beautiful plane, the best motor inside of that plane. Khair inshallah. I don't need it. It's not safe. The smallest bolt makes a difference. We need every single part. We need everything. For us to be a complete society, we need everything. We need doctors, engineers, teachers, cashiers, photographers, graphic designers, dentists, whatever you guys want. We need everything for our society to be a complete and whole society. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. طيب. So everyone needs to find his own taklif. And like I mentioned yesterday, one of our great scholars says, if I knew that my taklif, if my taklif was to clean just some bathrooms and toilets in a village in Tehran, I'd be happy to do so. Because I found my purpose and my taklif. Halla, the good thing, the relieving part about doing your taklif and your duty is that you do not have to worry about the results. You just do what you have to do, and Allah Azza wa Jal will take care of the rest. Just do your part. You just found out that my taklif is to go and study, I will go and study. My taklif is to be a good mother, be a good mother. That's it. What's going to happen after is in Allah's hands. You do your part. I'm not saying just don't do anything and wait until something happens on its own. No, you do your part, do what you have to do, and then the result is in Allah's hands. Nabi Musa alayhi salam, when he had to flee and take Bani Israel from Egypt, he just saw his taklif, I have to take Bani Israel. So he took Bani Israel. And he took them and he went out. And he was on his way. Khalas. He's doing what he has to do. Then he came to the sea. He reached the sea. And then khalas. His people, Bani Israel, one of our scholars says that the scholars of Bani Israel, the fuqaha of Bani Israel, they stood and they said, Inna la mudrakun. Khalas. Fir'aun is after us. The sea is in front of us. Khalas. We're done. Nabi Musa stood and told them, no. Kalla. Inna ma'aya rabbi sayahdeen. God is with me. He will guide me. He has yaqeen. Because his taklif was to flee. So he knew with certainty that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to open a path for him. He didn't probably have in mind that he's going to open the sea for him, but he knew that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to do something and take care of it. He did his part, and then he told Allah, all right, I did my part, now it's your turn. What do you want to do? And then Allah told him, اضرب بعصاك البحر. Right? So he told him, do what you have to do. And that's it. Allah could have done anything, by the way. Maybe they didn't think and Allah would split the sea for them. But Allah took care of the rest. They did their taklif, and that's it. Same thing with Nabi Ibrahim. Nabi Ibrahim saw in his dream that, okay, Allah Azza wa Jal is ordering me to slaughter my son Ismail. It's my taklif. I have to do so. Halla on, by the way, when it comes to dreams and so on, because a lot of people ask me usually, you can't rely on a dream. You can't build your life based on a dream. Just because you saw a dream, you're like, I saw this in my dream, now I have to act accordingly, I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Nabi Ibrahim is Nabi Ibrahim. When he sees a ru'ya, when he has a dream, that means something. If you have a dream, it could mean something, it could not mean anything. So you cannot build your life based on a dream because you saw a dream. Because there's people actually, they refuse potential husbands or wives because they had a dream that like it was bad. I saw in my dream that somebody lost his teeth and ma ba'arif shu, and now I think, no, I can't do this. Habibi, who told you this? What's worse is people who try to give an explanation to the dream. They'd say, yeah, if you saw this in your dream, it means 1, 2, 3, 4. Who told you this? Maybe you're related to Nabi Yusuf of his progeny, we don't know, walla shu. Nabi Yusuf, he knows how to explain dreams. But other people, how do they know? Even in our narrations, these narrations aren't authentic. Yani, we have narrations, we can say, inshallah, heck, inshallah, maybe it means 1, 2, 3, 4. But for you to build your life based on a dream, no, don't do that. You have a aql, khalas, just follow your aql. All right? So Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he saw in his dream, and it was a command for him to slaughter Ismail, if you ask Nabi Ibrahim, do you want to slaughter Ismail? He's going to tell you no. But this is my taklif, so I have to do it. So he was doing his taklif. And then Allah Azza wa Jal, He stepped in and He told him, khalas, stop. You were about to do your taklif, done. You did what you have to do, I don't want you to continue anymore. I'm sure Nabi Ibrahim was at ease, alhamdulillah, good. Because he didn't have it in his mind, yalla, I have to slaughter Ismail. He just wanted to do his taklif and what is wanted from him. That's it. So the main point is that you don't have to worry about the result. Do your part, do what you have to do, and Allah will take care of the rest. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. شو رأيكم إذا الشباب بيقوموا بيقربوا كلهم شوي لقدام؟ صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. You can't wish على نخفانكم. Just to say in German too, مشان هلا عم نحكي just Arabic, English, multi-language إن شاء الله. طيب صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. صلي على محمد. طيب هلا once you recognize your duty, acting upon your duty is very hard. Because sometimes we underestimate it. We underestimate things because we don't live them, we don't go through them. You will always find people who are not in charge. They will sit from the bottom, look at people who are in charge and be like, if I was in his position, I would do this. If I was in their position, I would have done this. If I was the manager of this team, if I was the CEO of this company, I would have changed this, done this, ما بعرف شو. It's so easy to talk. But when you're actually in charge, it's different. So once you recognize your taklif, and it's very hard, then you have to act accordingly. But you cannot underestimate how hard it is, because you're going to find out tomorrow, inshallah, how hard it is to stick to your taklif and to what you have to do actually. Because tomorrow we're going to speak about patience, because tomorrow is an extension to today's lecture. Yani. So they complete each other, but I'm going to keep that part till tomorrow. Finding your taklif is hard. Acting upon your taklif is even harder, because you will face many obstacles, be it from a friend, because the most influential people around you are your friends. A friend could come into your way and tell you, you know what you're doing is wrong, is right, you shouldn't do this, not now, do that later. Could be an obstacle. A scholar could be an obstacle if he's not aware enough, wise enough. A family member could be an obstacle. Your own children can be obstacles. Zubayr, it is said, Zubayr was one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. And he was from the good ones. He was from the followers of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam. And then one of the narrations says about Zubayr from the Imams, كان لنا وليا حتى شب ولده. And he was one of our followers until his son grew old. When his son grew old, he took him astray. Khalas, fitna. His own son took him astray. We're going to speak about Abdullah ibn Zubayr tomorrow too, inshallah. So his own son was an obstacle for him to continue on the path of truth, on the path of Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam. So you will face many obstacles. When you recognize your duty, when you want to act accordingly, there's many obstacles that could come into your way. Because we can say that knowing your main duty, your primary duty, is the common struggle between each Muslim society in each stage and in each era. This is the main bala that the Muslim ummah faces in each stage and in each era. And this is why we want to take this lesson from Ashura, the first lesson from Ashura, on taklif. طيب, now we're going to get to Imam al-Hussein and what happened to him and how we can take the lesson from taklif from Imam al-Hussein. Okay, and then we're going to come up with a conclusion at the end. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll finish it. And we're going to mention 4 main points. طيب, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. طيب. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, unlike the majority of the Muslim Ummah, he recognized his primary taklif. He knew what he had to do. And he told the Ummah that this is what we have to do. He told them their duty. He told them their taklif. He told them their task. But I want to mention something that's very important. Not everyone who didn't follow Imam al-Hussein and go with Imam al-Hussein is from Ahl al-Dunya. Some people, most people actually, they left Imam al-Hussein. Yes, they're not excused. But there were people who didn't go with Imam al-Hussein because they saw that they have a different taklif. Maybe out of ignorance, unintentionally, whatever. They saw that, no, we have a different taklif, so we're going to stay in Medina. We're going to stay in Mecca. We're not going to go with Imam al-Hussein. This goes back to many reasons. However, I just want to say that not everyone who didn't join the caravan of Imam al-Hussein didn't join him because they wanted to let go of their imam. They wanted to let down their imam. No. Maybe they were ignorant. They had the shubha. You know, in Arabic language, a shubha is called a shubha because يشتبه الحق مع الباطل. Right? So truth and falsehood, they get together, they mix up, so you don't know what's true and what's not true. That's why we call it shubha. A lot of people face shubhas sometimes. They think they're doing the right thing, but they're not. They think they're doing the right taklif, but they're not. All right? So some of them went for secondary takalif, for secondary duties, secondary tasks that were not meant to be during that time. But Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he knew that the primary task, the primary duty was to stand up against Yazid. To not pay allegiance to Yazid. And this is why he said, مثلي لا يبايع مثله. Very important sentence. He said, the likes of me do not pledge allegiance to likes of him. He didn't say, Al-Hussein bin Ali bin Abi Talib doesn't pay allegiance to Yazid bin Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. No, he could have said that. He could have said, أنا ما بايع Yazid. But he didn't say that. He didn't say, I don't give allegiance to Yazid. He said, mithli, the ones who are like me. Because Imam al-Hussein was looking forward into the future. He was saying, those who are like me, those who want to join the Husseini movement, they don't pay allegiance to somebody like him. Because in every time and era, we have a Husseini movement, we have a Yazidi movement. We have both. They're always present. They might change. The way they appear, it might change. This is why I mentioned yesterday. You know, the Sunan are one. God's universal laws are one. They might change. Because the challenges change throughout the time. Now, they look different than 200 years ago. But the concept is one. The Husseini movement is one. The Yazidi movement is one. And the Imam was saying, the ones who are like me do not pay allegiance to ones like him. They will never get together. They will never be on the same path. They won't. That's why he said, the ones who are like me will never give bay'ah to ones like him. He was drawing a line. Husseini movement, Yazidi movement. طيب. هلا if we ask Imam al-Hussein, if we were to ask Imam al-Hussein, salawatullahi alayh, when you went to Karbala, why did you go to Karbala? Was it your intention to overthrow the government and be in charge of the Muslim Ummah? Was that your goal? He's going to tell you no. If we ask him, did you go to Karbala to achieve martyrdom? You wanted to be a martyr, yani. You wanted to go for shahada. He's going to tell you no. He went because it was his taklif. He went because it was his duty. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Yes, one of these two is going to result. He's either going to be victorious and be in charge of the Muslim Ummah, or he's going to achieve shahada. One of these two. But if you ask him, why did you go? He's like, I have to do my taklif. Maybe Allah Azza wa Jalla would have opened for him a third way. We don't know. Just like what happened to Nabi Musa. He didn't have in mind that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to split the sea for me. He just went, khalas, we'll see what happens. Ala Allah. Right? We trust Allah Azza wa Jal, and that's it. So he said, I have to go to Karbala, I have to face Yazid, I'll do that. Then on the way, he knew he was going to martyr. He knew it. But if we ask him, why did you go? His main intention was islah. خلاص, I went because I have to do this. This is my duty. This is my taklif. Yani if we ask Nabi Ibrahim, why did you put the knife on Ismail's neck? Because you want to slaughter him? He's going to tell you no, because this is what I have to do, so I'm going to do that. Halad. So he did his taklif, and that's it. His taklif was to go to Karbala, and this is what he did. And everything else that happened, it just took place. So he wanted to save Islam. This is why he went. He didn't have anything else in mind. طبعا, like I mentioned, one of these two was going to result anyway, but he went because he wanted to do his taklif and his duty. هلا, another beautiful example that we can mention when it comes to knowing your primary task and primary duty is what befell the Muslim Ummah during the time of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. During the time of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, the Muslim Ummah didn't care to free the Imam. What would they do instead? They would go visit Imam al-Hussein and Karbala. One of our scholars says beautifully, he says, but your Hussein is in prison. He's there. He's alive. You're going to Karbala to visit Imam al-Hussein ibn Ali, but how about your Hussein? Imam al-Hussein told you, مثلي لا يبايع مثله. The ones who are like me, there's a Husseini movement in every era and stage. There's your Hussein in prison. Go free your Imam. So they didn't recognize their primary taklif. They let Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam in prison for 15 years. This is what they say, 15, 8, 9, 10. It depends on the narrations. However, they let him in prison for years. But your primary task is to free the Imam of your time. And this is why we can say that now, our primary task as a ummah, okay, as Muslims, is to hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Because Al-Imam Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Mahdi, Ajallah ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif, he's the Hussein of our time. So we need to find the connection with the Imam of our time, to serve the Imam of our time. He's our primary task as a ummah and as individuals, but as a ummah, as a whole. I'm not, because everyone has an individual taklif. Halla, towards the end, I'm going to give you 2 advices what you can do to find out your individual taklif. But us as a ummah, no doubt, the primary task is to hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. And here comes the difference between ibadah and ubudiyya, between worship and obedience, worship and servanthood. Because when we speak about ibadah, we mean salah, som, hajj, etc. Ibadah, worship, is a means to ubudiyya. The goal, the main goal of ibadah is to reach ubudiyya. You worship to be a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal, to have obedience. We don't worship for the sake of worship. We worship to reach the stage and the level of ubudiyya. Okay? Let me give you a few examples. Halla, in some cases, you will find that somebody, because it's very recommended to pray Salat al-Jum'ah, right? Let's say it's Friday noon, and Salat al-Jum'ah, they're going to pray that in the mosque. But your mother is sick, your father is sick, your friend needs you, whatever it is, he has a haja. It's a haja, all right? But let's just say your mother is sick, because we want something that's clear, all right? And then your mother tells you, can you stay here with me, like take care of me, like I'm not feeling well. And then you're stuck between 2 things. On one hand, you want to go pray Salat al-Jum'ah in the mosque, because you love ibadah, you love Salat al-Jum'ah, you want to be a good Muslim, you want to be a good believer. But on the other hand, your mother needs you, she wants you. In this case, if you put ibadah as a priority, then you're going to leave your mom and go pray. If you put ubudiyya as a priority, you're going to take care of your mom and be like, khalas, I'm going to put my love for ibadah aside because this is what Allah wants me to do, so I'm going to do that instead. Same thing when it comes to elder people. You know, when they become older and then the doctor tells them you cannot fast during Shahr Ramadan, it's going to harm you. They're like, what? I want to fast in Shahr Ramadan. Me not fasting in Shahr Ramadan, I want to fast. He has this love to fast. He wants to fast. We appreciate his love for Shahr Ramadan, but when the doctor tells him it's going to harm you, you don't fast in Shahr Ramadan. Khalas. You just go have breakfast, enjoy it, kil shi, because it's going to harm you. You do not love the worship for the sake of worship. The worship is a means to ubudiyya, to obedience. Allah is telling you through that doctor, you're not allowed to fast. It's haram to fast. It's haram to harm yourself. How do you want to get closer to God? By committing haram. He's telling you, don't fast. It's going to harm you. A third example that we take in fiqh, but the examples in fiqh are just examples of fiqh, right? They will never probably happen the way they mention it. But they say, if you just hypothetically, just imagine with me, you're at the river, and then there's only 2 minutes left until salah time is over, right? And somebody is drowning, and it's either you rescue him, and then you're not going to pray on time, or you just pray on time and let him drown. So, same concept. If you put ibadah as a priority, you're just going to be like, khalas, it's okay, yalla, Allah yarhamu, Allahu Akbar, you're going to pray. But wrong. If you put obedience as a priority and servanthood as a priority, you're going to be like, okay, balas salah, I'm going to go rescue him and then I'll pray it. Because this is what Allah wants you to do. Look, we need to reach the level of obedience and ubudiyya. You all know the story of Iblis and how he was tawus al-malaika, right? And he worshipped Allah for thousands of years. But then, when the test came, when he told him, Isjud li Adam, he told him, no, I'll do sujood for you, Ya Allah. But I don't want to do sujood to Adam. But Habibi, it's not up to you. Actually, not Habibi, because it's Iblis. It's not up to you. Allah is telling you, do sujood to Adam. You do sujood to Adam. If you have obedience and servanthood to Allah, you just follow His command. It's not up to you. But if you say, no, but I want to ask you directly, I would do sujood to you. We don't worship Allah the way we want to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. We worship Allah the way He wants to be worshipped. If He tells you, you're sick, you cannot pray, you cannot fast, you cannot do whatever, you just don't do it. It's okay. You have obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. It's just like the one during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, he was at a mountain, he was just not taking care of his family, praying the whole time. Then the Prophet went and asked his brother or somebody else, told him, where's this man? They told him, he's at the mountain, worshipping Allah, ma ba'arif shu. He asked, who's taking care of his family? He said, yeah, his brother takes care of his family. He said, his brother has more reward and ajr and thawab than that man who's praying at the mountain on top. He thinks he's doing good, but he's not. So this applies to the ummah at the time of Imam al-Kadhim and probably in our time. Because they thought, it's okay, we love to visit Imam al-Hussein, let's just go visit Imam al-Hussein. It's good to visit Imam al-Hussein. It's needed. It's important. But sometimes there's a way more important taklif that we have to follow, that we have to do. So we need to find our primary task, the main duty, the main taklif, and we have to follow that main taklif. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So to Imam al-Hussein, it was clear that he was a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal, full obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. He was doing his taklif and what he has to do. That's it, nothing more and nothing less. Okay, and this is what makes a real servant. Because as you know, al-abd is the highest rank a human being can reach. The highest rank. Higher than the messenger and prophet himself. Okay, because in the tashahhud, we say, وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. We put abd and then rasul. Abd first and then rasul. Because it's the highest rank. The highest rank, number one, okay, ultimate, if you unlock all stages and levels, you become a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the highest rank you can reach. Halahoni, one of the scholars, said something very beautiful. He said, just try for 1 minute, one time in your life, to sit and reflect upon the fact that you are a servant of Allah. Just 1 minute. Okay? And it's really hard. Without interruptions, without other thoughts. Just a pure minute. You know when you do planks, It's hard to keep up for 1 minute, right? That 1 minute feels like forever. Just try and sit for 1 minute to reflect upon the fact that you are just a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's very hard. So just to think and reflect upon the fact that you are a servant of Allah is very hard. How about actually being a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal when He asks you to do something, when He wants something from you? Extremely hard. But Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he was ready and he did his taklif. That's why if you look at the parts of the du'as that he would recite throughout his journey to Ashura, sabran ala qada'ik, right? It's hard. I'm going to speak about patience tomorrow. It's not easy because we're going to say that once you recognize your taklif, you have to act accordingly. And then I'm going to mention a third point in a little bit. And then the fourth point, you have to need the needed patience to take your taklif to the end. Very hard. Extremely hard. طيب. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. طيب. The third point that I didn't mention, actually, I have to mention it. So, we said so far, once you recognize your taklif, you have to act accordingly, and then you have to act accordingly in time. There are certain taklifs that you have to do in time. It's not going to benefit you anything if you do them outside of the needed time. Yani, let me give you an example. If there's somebody who needs to take certain medicine in a specific time, if we do not give him this medicine in that time period, he's probably going to die. Or if we're going to give him the medicine hours later, day later, even if we give him a stronger dose, it's not going to benefit him anything. Khalas. You were supposed to give him this medicine in this time. If you didn't do it in that time phrase, khalas, it's done. It's not going to benefit him anything anymore. So same thing with the takalif. Certain takalif need to be done in a specific time. If you don't do them in that time, it's not going to benefit you anything. And this exactly is the difference between the companions of Imam al-Hussein and the Tawwabin, the remorse seekers. The remorse seekers are a group of people who after Ashura woke up and went and fought for Imam al-Hussein after Ashura had happened and took place already. Okay, but what's the difference between both of them, both groups, the companions of Imam al-Hussein and the remorse seekers? The companions of Imam al-Hussein, they recognized their taklif. The remorse seekers, they recognized their taklif. The companions of Imam al-Hussein acted according to their taklif. The remorse seekers acted according to their taklif. The companions of Imam al-Hussein did their taklif in time. The remorse seekers didn't do their taklif in time. That's why the companions of Imam al-Hussein have a rank that they don't have. This is why Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he said, مَا رَأَيْتُ أَصْحَابًا أَوْفَى مِنْ أَصْحَابِي. Those who were with him in Karbala. The remorse seekers, they don't have this rank. Even though they recognize their taklif and they acted accordingly, but they didn't do so in time. They woke up late. Oh, okay, we should have been in Karbala. Let's go. Good, you're Tawwabin, all right. But you're not at the same level and stage as the companions of Imam al-Hussein. طيب. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Actually, one of the scholars says that there is no doubt that some of the companions of Imam al-Hussein aborted their very first and wajib hajj to go with Imam al-Hussein to Karbala. And this is a beautiful example to what I was saying a few minutes ago. The difference between worship and obedience, ibadah and ubudiyya. If these companions prioritized worship and ibadah, they would have said, no, you know what, hajj, taklif, etc., wajib, I have to stay here. Maybe I'll follow you. Just you go to Karbala and when I'm done, I'll follow you. Right? No, they aborted the hajj and they went with Imam al-Hussein because they recognized their primary taklif. They knew that this is the primary taklif. So they went with Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. طيب. The last point that I want to mention and then finish off inshallah is طيب, how can we recognize our duty as individuals? Because I gave 1, primary duty for all of us is to hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. I just want to give you two advices for you to recognize your own taklif, because you have your own abilities, own skills, you know what you're capable of, etc., and so on and so forth. So each individual needs to find his own taklif. But let me give you two advices. The first one, like I mentioned, the Imam of our time, Ajalat ala Farajahu Sharif, he's present. He's there. He's here. We can tell him, Ya Mawlai, just like how Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam told his companions and the ummah back then their primary taklif and what is wanted from them, tell me what's my taklif. Because when we say that the Imam hears us and he sees us, and we say in the ziyarah, Ashhadu annaka tasma'u kalami wa taruddu salami, etc., the Imam, he hears us, he's there for us. Even though we forget that fact. But if we just reach out and tell him, Ya Mawlai, just guide me, show me what I need to do, what's wanted from me, what's needed from me, what do you want me to do, how can I serve you? Maybe he will show you the path. Maybe he will guide you to what's needed from you. So just ask the Imam of your time. First advice. Second advice is a story, actually it's an interview that one of the scholars gave, Sheikh Habib al-Kadhimi, when he was speaking about his journey in Hawza and his experience in Hawza. During the interview, he said that he reached a level where he was about to finish his studies and finish Hawza. And he didn't really know what he wanted to do. He was confused. He's like, okay, let me go to Sheikh Bahjat, rahmatullah alayh. Sheikh Bahjat was his teacher. So he went to him and he told him, Shaykhna, I'm about to finish Hawza and I don't know, what should I do? Should I stay in Hawza and give classes? Should I go travel, give lectures? Should I write books? Like, I'm confused. I don't know what I should do. I don't know what my taklif is, what my duty is, where I should be. So then Sheikh Bahjat, as usual, he always surprises me with his answers because they're always on point, yani. He just told him, he didn't tell him, you know what, your taklif is to do 1, 2, 3, 4. He just wants to be on the safe side. He just told him, أكثر من الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد تفتح لك الطريق. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. He just told him, recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad and Allah will show you the path. You will know what you have to do. And then he says, he just found out, like, khalas, this is what I have to do, this is my path, this is my duty. So to finish off, I ask Allah Azza wa Jal with the blessing of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein and the Imam of our time to allow us to recognize our primary tasks, our primary takalif, our primary duty, and then to give us the strength and the power to act accordingly and to do so in time, inshaAllah. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى آل بيتك المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. يا غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. يا مسلوب العمامة والرداء يا ذبيحا من الكفار يا جدا فهويت إلى الأرض جريحا تطأك الخيول بحوافرها وتعلوك الطغاة ببواترها قد رشح للموت جبينك واختلفت بالانقباض والانبساط شمالك ويمينك تدير طرفا خفيا إلى أهلك ورحلك. You fell to the ground wounded, horses trampled on you, tyrants raised their swords against you. برزنا من الخدور للشور ناشرات وبالعويل داعيات وبعد العز مذللات وإلى مصرعك مبادرات والشمر جالس على صدرك. And when the women saw your horse, they came from the tents, and they rushed towards where you lay wounded, and they saw Shimir sitting on your chest. يا رب الحسين بحق الحسين اشفي صدر الحسين بظهور الحجة. The day the messenger Muslim was to leave his loved ones behind, he gathered his children and said, I entrust you with your uncle Hussein. He said, make me proud in the eyes of Fatima Zahra, and make me proud in the eyes of Ali ibn Abi Talib. His children promised to serve their Imam with their entire existence. After the people of Kufa sent many letters to Imam al-Hussein saying, we invite you to come to Kufa, as we have no Imam to guide us. Through Allah, through you, Allah will unite us on the path of truth. Imam Hussein alayhi salam wrote a letter back. He said, I am sending my brother, my cousin Muslim bin Aqil, who is my family's most trusted representative. I have instructed him to write to me about your situation. When Muslim alayhi salam arrived to Kufa, more than 18,000 people appeared before him, and they pledged allegiance to Imam al-Hussein. Muslim was encouraged by the overwhelming response. He sent a letter to Imam al-Hussein telling him to proceed to Kufa. Bashir ibn Nu'man, who was the governor of Kufa, He did not interfere or harm Muslim, as he had respect for the Ahlul Bayt and their family members. But this was seen as a weakness by the followers of Yazid. So Yazid sent Ibn Ziyad, disguised as Imam al-Husayn. He entered Kufa while covered, and people cheered as he arrived. Once he settled in the castle, he gave a sermon warning the people of Kufa of the punishment for anyone aiding or sheltering, or anyone who would scheme against him. Fear slowly crept in the hearts of the Kufans, and those 18,000 supporters became less and less. One night, Muslim was joined in prayers by a great number. By the time he was done his taslim, looking over his shoulder, there was only 4 supporters left. And Ibn Ziyad's army was actively looking for Muslim. Muslim hid at his friend Hani ibn Urwa's house, but a spy exposed Hani. And when the evil army found Hani, he was punished and eventually killed. They severed Hani's head and threw his body down a well. Muslim alayhi salam knew that Imam al-Hussein was coming to Kufa and it would be a trap. He tried to escape to warn Imam al-Hussein, but the gates of Kufa were closed and spies were sent to find Muslim. Imagine now Muslim alone, walking in the dark streets of Kufa, hungry and thirsty. Imagine the feeling of being in an unfamiliar place as death followed you. He walked until he reached a house owned by a lady named Taw'a. Muslim saw her and greeted her. And he asked, "O servant of Allah, could you spare me a drink of water?" Taw'a went inside and brought him water. Later she came back outside and found Muslim still sitting at her doorstep. She said, "Why do you stand at my door? Have you not had enough water?" He told her, "Thank you, yes I have, Ya Amatallah." She said, "Then why do you stay here? Go to your family." He tells her, "I am a stranger to these lands. I have neither family nor kin in this place." She asked him, "Where are you from? Where is your family?" He says, "I am Muslim bin Aqil, and these people have deceived me. They've misled me and expelled me." She was in shock and said, "Forgive me, Muslim, for I made you wait long. Take this as your home where you belong. Muslim is our guest, his stay is surely blessed. If I knew who you were, I would have quickly let you in. How will I face Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, and their kin?" She lets him in. She puts food for him and water, but he only drinks a little water. Muslim was in the guest room. Soon after that night, her son came home and noticed her frequently going in and out of the room. He insisted on knowing why, until she revealed to him after making him promise to keep the secret. Ibn Ziyad, la'anahullah, had offered a reward to anyone who could provide information about Muslim. So the next morning, her son betrayed Muslim, and he told the army of Ibn Ziyad. That night, Muslim bin Aqil had been spending his night in prayer and had some sleep. Later, Tawa came by and said, "My master, I noticed that you did not sleep last night." He replied, "No, that I did sleep, but in my dream I saw my uncle Ali saying, 'Hurry, hurry.' And I believe that my days in this world are numbered." After that prayer, he was engaged in supplication, and he heard the voices of the men outside. He knew they were coming for him. When he went outside, he fought fiercely. The enemies were on the rooftops. Some were throwing stones, some arrows, some dug trenches, and they still could not restrain him. When he was covered in wounds, a man promised him safe passage. Muslim replied, "You people cannot keep your word. You are betrayers." A man struck Muslim while he rested, and his mouth bled severely. Muslim fought back until he fell into one of their traps that they had dug. They captured him and took him to Ibn Ziyad. When they brought Muslim inside, and they brought him before Ibn Ziyad, Muslim alayhi salam refused to say his salam. Shimr la'anahullah tells him, "Say salam to your master." Muslim replies, "My master, my only master is Hussein." Shimr says, "It doesn't matter if you say salam or don't, you are going to be killed." Muslim asks for water. They bring a bowl, but it fills with his blood. And he says, "By Allah, I am meant to die thirsty." As if he knew his cousin Hussein would die atshana. Ibn Ziyad orders the guards to take Muslim to the top of the tower and be beheaded. Muslim alayhi salam requests to pray 2 rak'at. He prays and cries. The guards laugh at him and say, "Someone who wants to do a revolution does not cry when they are captured." لا والله ما على حالي بكيت، لكن بكائي على الحسين، بكائي على سيدي ومولاي أبا عبد الله. Muslim alayhi salam says, "By Allah, I do not cry for myself, I cry for Hussein. My tears are for my master Abu Abdullah. Master, if I could speak to you, know that I tell you to turn back. The ambush awaits you, they've set their trap. Do not bring Zainab and the women and children here. What they might encounter in this place, I truly question and fear. Captives meet rocks and flames as a welcome, while these people cheer. And I cannot fathom what Zainab will feel watching your head paraded on a spear." Muslim alayhi salam sends his salam to Imam Al-Husayn. السلام عليك يا أبا يا عبد الله. They struck his neck and threw his body off the tower. Then they tied his body to a harness and dragged his body through the streets of Kufa. Wa Muslima wa Madluma. Word got to Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam that Muslim had been killed. Imam Hussein alayhi salam cried, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, bring me Hamida. Hamida was the daughter of Muslim. Zainab alayhi salam brought Hamida to Imam al-Hussein. He held her close and began to wipe her head. She said, Oh uncle, what is wrong? Why do you wipe my head like that of an orphan? Uncle, where is my father? Is something wrong with my father? قال لا حميدة إن غاب أبوك فأنا أبوك وبناتي أخواتك. Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, Hamida, my darling, I am now your father. Your father has been martyred and you are now an orphan, and my daughters are your sisters. مثل اليتامى تمسح بكفك عليّ قلبي كسرت يا غريب الغاذرية خليت عبراتي على خدي جرية. Like an orphan you pat my head with your hand. My heart you've broken, Hussein, stranger of this land. But soon, uncle, you'll be laying in the sand with no supporters and no water. Hussein, Ya Hussein, everyone. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Wajihan عند الله. يا وجيها عند الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Everyone please rise for ziyarat warif. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله إني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سل وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله، بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل السماوات والأرض. فلعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتهيأت لقتالك. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، قصدت حرمك وآتيت إلى مشهدك، أسأل الله بالشأن الذي لك عنده وبالمحل الذي لك لدي أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد، وأن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة. السلام وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته.